I sold my first startup at 22 for just under $1 million. I bought my first house shortly after. I've flipped 15 different homes. I've started multiple companies successfully. I've sold 2 successfully. We secured our biggest client ever, just shy of $500 million. Childhood traumas have become my adulthood triumphs.
Yeah.
What I will say about confidence, as long as it's not at someone else's detriment, that's the key. And I'm tackling Australia, I'm tackling New Zealand, and then I will take it overseas.
We are very, very excited, Dos, for this episode. We've just walked down memory lane in the surrounding streets with the great CEO of White Fox Real Estate, Marty Fox. Welcome to the dos&d show.
Boys, bring it up.
He's here. We're very excited. Mate, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Great comfy seats.
You talked about attention to detail. They're making the seats a little bit more comfier. It's all to try and relax.
A little lower, old school. It's great.
What's the feeling amongst yourself walking the streets again? What are you feeling today?
Oh, just very nostalgic. Seeing some familiar heads down at the cafe, and just getting in front of the building where the vision was in my mind. Looking at 281 Coventry Street, and for that to be the first building. When my son was born, I took him up to my office. It was a proud moment. I remember laying on the floor, no furniture, rug in, looking out the window. I did a post. To knowing that you can't scroll back in the years in Instagram to really understand the journey of a company or a person.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be a feature that Instagram unlocks, because now you can go back and see that post. But just posting and saying, planning for the launch of my new company. I vividly remember hitting post, and it was all in that building. And yeah, it was just a really nostalgic little walk around the streets. It was cool.
Well, and even in those 20 minutes, even for us, and Dos said to me, you wouldn't even heard, we were in the coffee shop, and Dos just said, pick his brain, listen to the conversations. We're very excited. And honestly, these days, you can't drive past any street in Melbourne without a big White Fox real estate leasing of what's the word? I've already lost. Auction?
Sold board.
Sold. Let's go with sold. Much better.
Well, it's an arched board. It's actually a patent protected arched signboard. So we own the shape of an arched board, which is pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, again,
spent tens of thousands of dollars with lawyers to get that, to protect the visual identity of the company.
And again, in that whole aspect of picking your brains and talking a little bit about marketing, I'm really interested in your billboards. Making homes more expensive since 2017.
That is a good one.
It's so clever. Talk to us a little bit about the psychology behind that.
Mate, to be honest, it was the Christmas party. I was sitting at the back of the boat. I just come out of my 4th operation for the year. I may have had something which was making me feel very creative. And I wrote it in my phone. I shared it around a few people. No one really gave it the time of day. And I knew I hit a winner. Yeah. I knew that I had just come up with one of the greatest sold boards that we had ever done. Because we released sold boards on properties when we launched in 2017. And the first viral one was around taking the piss out of Tim Gurner's avocado comment. And from there, we just kept releasing new boards, and it's been synonymous with the brand since we launched. But that sold board it was actually a billboard, making homes more expensive since 2017. It was just so clean and to the point and factual with what we have done that it created uproar.
Yeah.
We're on the Today Show. I had to defend myself to my good mates at the Today Show, and yeah, it was just quite bizarre that it got taken one particular way, but then the other side of the fence totally understood and absorbed what that board meant.
Yeah.
As soon as you walked in, confidence is the first thing I thought, right? And I know working in sales and being someone who's a leader in business, and yourself also now in media and presenting, you've got to have some type of confidence and, aura about you, I guess you could say. But we're going to talk probably about real estate, and we're going to talk a bit about marketing and a bit about business. But
I don't know about whatever you want.
But one thing I thought of it, and it's something that we're trying to over the years you develop it. But confidence in your ability to not care what anyone thinks. So you walk into a room and feel okay and proud in your own skin, and being not afraid to talk to people. Like seeing you walk into that cafe. I know this sounds really stupid, but some people they're too scared to go and introduce themselves to the cafe owner, and they've been going to that cafe for probably years, but they never actually introduce themselves or ask the question or just say g'day. For you, is this something that you've worked on a long time? Has it happened naturally, or did you struggle with confidence early days?
Such a good question. There's so many facets and layers to why I am the way that I am. Like, there's so many things. There's 37 years of living. It's experiences, it's upbringing, it's, living without certain things, it's going through certain things. But what I will say about confidence, as long as it's not at someone else's detriment, that's the key. And that's when you can hold yourself high. It's being confident, not because, and you see this in locker rooms a lot in sports, confidence is built by putting someone else down. I'm never the bully. I was the one that was bullied through school. So for me, it's trying to build that confidence up and that resilience, which I never had. So I was able to be, outgoing and outspoken, but then when I was bullied at school, it really diminished that light in me for many years. And I think the outgoingness probably came from an extremely strong mum, Irish, Spanish, just an absolute firecracker of a human who always said she had my back no matter what. And then my dad, who was extremely charismatic and still is today, and he was a hairdresser. So after school, I've got so many memories of just being in the salon and watching my dad talk and make people laugh. And, he just had this incredible way about him with people. So your environment, makes you who you are, which gave me a lot of confidence. But then I'd go to school and it would get smacked down pretty quick, because, I'd either say something or do something, and it, jealousy, can run in kids. And if you're good at a particular sport, or if you're, I was doing acting and stuff as a kid. So I was in, catalogs, and I was on TV commercials. So, you'd be putting up with things like, the kids calling you really, really bad names and stuff. And as a kid, it gets to your head and you start thinking, fuck, am I these things that they're calling me? Like, I'm not going to say all the things that they'd say.
Cabbage Patch Kid? Were you a Cabbage Patch Kid?
No, I wasn't a Cabbage Patch. No? Oh, fuck, I don't know. I was a Maya kid. I was a rebel kid. I was a...
That's something to be proud of. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it helped my parents. Yeah. It was income. My mum was a single mum. Dad, was doing his thing, and it was a way to, get money into the household. And it also taught me the value of money, and it taught me the value of work. And, I'd be pulled out of school in grade 4 or 5 to do a commercial. I remember kicking the goal for Adidas when it was the World Cup. And I got to see things and understand how, behind the scenes, camera people, makeup artists, I got to see some pretty cool stuff. And it also made me a target at school. It made me a big, big target. And, you move schools because of bullying. I went to 7 different schools, and you then had to pitch yourself. You then had to get into the news team. You had to, make friends. It was about pitching. So I learnt then how to pitch pretty early on. And I think it actually helped me. My childhood traumas have become my adulthood triumphs.
Yeah. And I would love to even just, again, and we talk, it's probably a bit repetitive for us because we talk about this a lot, but I love hearing this perspective because you talked about confidence by pushing other people down. So in other words, bullying. But in our landscape, in the social media game, that's such a big, we call it tall poppy syndrome. It's such a big thing. It's
a big thing in this country.
Yeah, and in business to a degree too. So is that something you've faced in your, coming up or rising up through business and life and social media, even in terms of, you mentioned jealousy earlier, but tall poppy syndrome, people putting yourself down when you're on the path to success?
Mate, it's just one of those things. You shouldn't dim your light to then make someone else shine brighter. That's the reality. So, if you're starting a business, starting a pod, furthering your education, going to the gym to lose weight, cutting your hair to look cleaner, doing whatever it is that you're doing with your wife to build a family, all these things are targets for jealousy. It's just the way that it is. But you need to get to the point, and I think that me getting to that point was probably in the last 12 months, which is quite, strange to think about because, from a perception level, tell you what, I've been pretty successful since I got into business in 21. I sold my first startup at 22 for just under $1 million. I bought my first house shortly after. I've flipped 15 different homes. I've started multiple companies successfully. I've sold 2 successfully, but yet I didn't feel like I was fully comfortable in my skin. Probably a year and a half ago. Like truly, very, very comfortable. And that probably comes with age. Comes from maybe going through some health situations like I did last year. Had 4 operations. You start to realize, fuck, at any given moment, everything can just go kaput. And then you realize how small we really are, how small of a show the block is, how small of a situation, you're in when it comes to, your health, how small of a problem it is with, 6 people resigning that week, how small of a problem, like, mate, we are such a fucking little grain of sand in this life on this planet, and Australia is so great and so shit, both in the exact same sentence.
So, sorry, you mentioned then even too, so you've done all these great things, you still don't feel confident in yourself. Is that a defensive mechanism of still wanting to prove to either yourself, your family, your wife, your team, social media? Is it an element of...
No, there's probably that sort of, that annoying little voice that you haven't put to bed yet. You haven't put that little fucking boy to, you haven't sorted him out. And I think that has come from, going on certain retreats and speaking to certain people that, you have regularly that know about the human brain, that know about evolution, that know about growth and all these sort of things that they're educated on, such as psychologists and stuff. And I've got this amazing lady that I met, Suki, and so much of it is spiritual, but so much of it is, physiological as well. It's a huge combination of both. And I think for me, just getting aligned and understanding what all that sort of will we shit means, fucking means something. Like, it really means something. So I've almost gone through a growth phase, which occurs, every 7 years of your life. And I've come through it just feeling way stronger. Like, it's a very good space that I feel in right now.
Awesome.
When you zoom out far enough, you can't see the earth. Like, I love that idea. Like, we're specks of sand. It's spot on. It's true. But why? Like, you're this busy man. You're so flat out. You're so flat chat. Life doesn't stop. You're doing so many different things. Some people probably look at what you're doing and go, well, if life is that simple, why are you working your ass off so much? Like,
I love it. I love it. I love being busy. I love meeting people. I love growth. I think it's very... it's really special that, this brand was a thought in my mind at 21, and it now employs, 120 people and a shitload more contractors, and it touches the lives of, thousands of people on an annual basis. That I believe that there is an opportunity for me to build a global brand in the real estate space, which hasn't been done in a private setting. There is not one global real estate brand in the luxury market that is in the northern and the southern hemisphere. And I'm tackling Australia, I'm tackling New Zealand, and then I will take it overseas. And I think for me, it's just a really cool goal. It's a hard goal to hit. And to be able to do it, it takes really strong systems and processes, which are built internally, which I'll be extremely proud of from a business sense. But then from a branding sense, to have something that people want to represent for their careers, I think is just to... Like, I'm what is it? It's not really emotional. It's like you're kind of proud that they believe that if they've got your pillars and your branding, that's going to help them build their career. That's pretty profound.
Yeah.
They've got so many other brands to choose from, but yet they want to park their careers with White Fox. And if it's on the other side of the planet because of those marketing pillars, I just think it's pretty cool.
Well, I love on your website, it says Global HQ, which... I think it's actually quite profound, the way it's all kind of structured there, and that's that big thinking.
Well, puts the thinking.
Yeah.
It puts the thinking into practice.
Exactly right. In terms of, and again, we were having a laugh off air before. We said we went to one of your friends and our friends, Dave Stevens, better known as Dave the Medium, and we said, mate, you know Marty quite well. Have you got any dirt on him? And he said, mate, I've got absolutely nothing for you, which is fantastic from your perspective. But he said, You've done quite a few podcasts, and of course we want to come from a different element, and we're interested to hear probably the more human element of you. So you're building this huge global brand, you've got these big ideas. I'd love to know what, outside of work, what does your life look like you're a father, you play pickleball, you're going to hold off golf till you're 50 or in your 50s. But what does your work-life balance, what does it look like? How many hours are you working a week? And what do you do outside of it?
This is the thing. I'm always on and I always follow the pigskin. I follow the bouncing ball. And at the end of the day, I've got more responsibility than I've ever had. I've got more kids than I've ever had. And I'm probably more connected to Charlotte than I've ever been. But I genuinely feel under the least amount of pressure because I'm surrounded as the business grows and as the business gets more mature. You've got a high caliber of thinkers and brains within the business. So less is resting on my shoulders because I once was the CMO. I was the CFO. Yep. I was the CEO. I was the lead agent. I was doing everything. So for me to be able to have people that I trust and respect in those pockets of the company gives me this space to think creatively, to come up with boards or to look at a location and DM someone that I think is a great talent and explore that opportunity. So for me, it's a lot of travel. I love the fact that this business has allowed me to see the whole of New Zealand, the whole of Australia. I get to go to New York and interview incredible agents like Ryan Serhant and hopefully some other cool guests. But in terms of, those hours of working till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night like I used to, I regularly go home at 3:30, 4 o'clock. But the phone is always on.
Yeah.
I'm always contactable by certain people in the company. And whilst there's, 120 odd people, there's only certain people that can get to me because there's barriers before that.
Yeah, okay.
Whereas previously when there was, say, 30 to 60 people, it was open slather and I was really cooking myself. And that's when I did go away to Gwingana and learnt about, boundaries and so forth because I didn't have these layers. So there's like a shoulder in business where you're not big enough to get to the next level, but, you're not wanting to lose touch and create these barriers. It's a really hard shoulder. And I got through that shoulder last year. So, outside of work, obviously there's sports. I love racket sports, love pickle, tennis, squash. Fucking lost this game of squash last week, which really shat me. To a guy that hadn't played before, and he's the father of one of the kids at school, and that really annoyed me. But I'm a huge foodie, always going out and eating. I love my date nights with Charlotte. I love filming the block. When I film the block, it's quite cathartic because my phone's away, the cameras are rolling, quite like now. A podcast or filming the block or doing television for me is almost like, it's crazy. It's probably what makes a lot of people nervous. For me, it relaxes me.
Yeah.
I actually get therapy through talking and not having to think about the other stuff, even though I love the other stuff.
Problem solving. And
this is almost like, you go hit the golf balls, I'll sit on a pod or go film the block. And I'm actually quite relaxed.
We'll be right back to this great episode with Marty Fox in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our good friends at FBH.
Now, if you don't know Fleet Plan Hire Solutions, just look at that firstly. Fleet Plan Hire, FBH, the best in the business for all your earth moving needs. We're talking truck hire, fleet hire, plan hire, any type of earth moving. These guys have you sorted. Head to fbh.com.au. Find out more today.
Back to the episode with Marty Fox.
Charlotte, I want to touch on, you're married, your wife?
Yes.
Yep. So the importance of having a partner in business. So as not a business partner, but your partner, how important is it finding the right person? Because
I think it's life.
Life in
it's
general.
Life. Yeah. By somehow getting lucky and finding her when she was 17, pretty much set up my entire life.
Wow.
Pretty much. And if you've got that rock there the whole time, keeping you know what it's like? When you go bowling and you put the bumpers down? I've had the bumpers down since I was 18. So I've never been able to fall into the gutter because I had her as my bumper. It's probably the best way to put into a sentence.
It's a great analogy.
It's awesome.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like she has been, and probably like what I've been for her. I've been those bumpers and she's been mine and we've both never fell into the gutter.
You made a point earlier and for the aspiring...
Sorry, I want to go back. It's fucking hard. It's really hard because you might have moments through there where you're growing and changing and you're not the same person that you met. I'm probably not the same guy. It's funny. I said to Charlotte when, we were sort of like early 20s when I was just like pretty hectic, still pretty hectic, but very hectic. And I used to always say, hey, when I'm 40, I'll be fucking perfect. Like, and I'm literally only like two years away. And it's funny, but you do have to grow together. And there's a shitload of, ups and downs. But, my dad's been married 3 times. My mum's been married 3 times. And, sometimes and they've both got great partners, but you look back and you go, shit, if you had to just work through it, you guys, probably would be fantastic now, And I think for me, having that for my kids, and I know Charlotte's come from a broken home as well, which is pretty much everyone these days. It's something that we hold pretty sacred.
How old were you when you met?
She walked into the Espy in St Kilda.
Oh, the Espy.
On a Sunday. I'm pretty sure Nudist Funk Orchestra was playing. I was 18. She would have been 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gee, I was there only a couple weekends ago.
I love the Espy. And I love the old
I
dirty
didn't have a great
Espy.
night. Huh? You what?
The old dirty Espy was fantastic.
Oh, the old dirty Espy.
Is
Yeah.
that the band room?
Yeah.
You made a point earlier, and for the aspiring real estate agents out there, you said DMing talent or people you perceive as talent. So, in your eyes, what are you seeing that makes you actually take that step?
Well, first impressions count. How they look, how they sound, the stock that they're working on, the location that they're working in. Big combination of things. I mean, I'm the lead scout for the company. I've pretty much handpicked every single person. And what's unique about us, we're not franchised, and we genuinely business partner with these people that have got talent. And I give them the playbook, give them the White Fox IP, give them the support of us in HQ in Toorak, which that's the HQ for all 14 offices around Australia and New Zealand. And I just back them in. Normally they're in a time in their career where they're not essentially financially at the level where they can just go and open, but we back them in and we partner up. And
So these are typically people who are out on their own. They're not with another franchise?
No. They're with another franchise
Okay.
or they're in another company
Yeah,
that's
okay.
private. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spot them. It'd be like a scout, finding players that are 15 that aren't pros yet. Geelong will bring people into the academy in their teens, but then they'll also take someone off the Bulldogs that's an elite player. It's just that they're going to pay that person a shitload more, and they're going to have to nurture that younger person a hell of a lot more. So one gets more time, one gets more cash.
Yeah.
Real estate agents are very much like sports people. They're momentum players. It's easy to see their stats. All their stats are online. You can see how much they make. You can see their full output. You cannot hide in real estate. You just can't. You're either good or you're shit. It's pretty simple.
So as a business model, are you picking somebody and they get, so I'm just trying to get my head around.
I'll sell
the
down.
franchise.
So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
The head company owns all the intellectual property.
Yep.
We find a location that fits the brand, which is a blue chip suburb in a major city.
Yep.
And we'll go, great, we want to go there. There'll be a short list of people that could be suitable candidates that either don't have enough equity in the business that they're in or they're not shareholders in the business that we're in.
Okay.
I'll approach that person and say, hey, do you want to open White Fox in this location?
Okay.
Great. All right, well, these are the parameters of owning an office within White Fox, and these are the equity positions that we offer. This is what it costs, and this is what you got to do.
Gotcha.
And if all of that aligns, you open an office.
Simple.
So simple. What's different with us is that we're majority owned by HQ, which keeps it really tight, which makes the consumer get this level of experience that's consistent between Wanaka and WA.
Yep.
You see a listing, it looks like they come out of the one office because the marketing and the quality control and the training comes out of the one office. That's the key. Consistency. Really hard to do outside of a franchise model.
Yep.
And we're doing it.
What's your take on creating a personal brand within a business? So
Incredibly important.
Not just the company's Instagram or someone who's got a clothing brand and they've got a TikTok account. It doesn't have to be the CEO or the owner. It could be someone who's just stacking shelves. How important is the personal branding element within? Because you're seeing it now is the employee-generated content is actually kicking so many brands off. It's content within the business of employees.
Yeah, and I've had that for 8 years now.
Yeah,
it's been my thing from the very beginning. agents have to build brands within White Fox. And that goes for all companies. Like, you have to connect with people. And I hate it when people go, oh, I've only got 400 followers. Yeah, 400. Do you know how many fucking people that is? That's a lot of human beings. Get your shit out. And you have to put out content that is genuine. Like, you're never going to see me posting about, like, going to the golf range just to try and appeal to golfers. I fucking don't like it.
Yeah.
But I'll do content that I like and that I care about. Renovations, food, date nights, family, funny things that my dad does, real estate, a podcast, travel. There's my pillars. My dog. There's 7 pillars. Cars, 8 pillars. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain, and hey, 8's a lot. But if you've got 4, play to the 4. Play to the 4. But the cadence has to be there. You can't do one post here and one post there. And you also can't discredit stories. Stories are my thing.
Massive.
My stories, like, I don't put $1 into my social media. And I think I'm sitting at like 2 million views a month. 2 million?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
No, it's insane.
Yeah,
2 million?
Yeah.
And I've only got 35,000 followers, but the engagement's high. I think, you know.
Well, that is a huge key analytic now.
Yeah.
And it has to be.
Well, yeah, bloody oath, because you can buy. Again,
followers
it's like
mean
you
that
can't-
But followers, you can tell like that if they're bought or it's not hard. And yeah, it's one of the things we cringe at. Well, kind of, what are your thoughts when you look at some of these sales gurus kind of on social media? We can use more bigger names rather than probably the more
someone in mind?
localized.
You got-
Well, there's maybe a couple.
How about we don't name names?
No. We won't name. Like I was going to say, we won't name names, but in a more broader sense, the names are probably safe to say, like the Jordan Belforts or the Grant Cardones or those, you know. And then there's people, you scale that down into more localized areas in Melbourne, say. What are your thoughts on those kind of sales techniques where it's more salesy? I mean, you focus more on marketing by the sounds of it, but those real hardcore sales guys.
Look, when you're talking about Cardone and Belfort, like, these guys are elite. Like, they're the elite of the elite. I've had dinner with Jordan. Like, they're just...
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're on another planet, right? Literally on another planet. But then when you narrow it down to more localized sales trainers, you can't sit in front of any of these guys and not take something away. There's always something to learn. Always. And if not, well then, mate, you better be a fucking gun. If you're going to say that you're not going to take something away, because I can sit in front of anyone and take at least one thing away, right? However, do they deserve to have that role? If they haven't put it into practice themselves, I think not. Okay? Don't teach me sales if you haven't scaled a business and sold a business or have a current business that's doing unbelievable numbers. For me, that is credibility. Like, you come to me for anything real estate related, go find me another person that's flipped 15 houses and scaled a business. I don't think you can. In Australia, I honestly think in blue chip suburbs, there wouldn't be someone that has done what I've been able to do. I genuinely, hand on heart, believe that, which gives me the ability to advise people within that field. These sales guys will have really good lessons, but do they have the experiences? I sometimes think learning through experience is better than learning through theory. And most of the time when I'm teaching someone, I go back to the experience and I overlook the theory. I've got the theory in marketing. I did my degree. I've got the theory in real estate. I've done all the fucking courses. But I go through the experience because I can give analogies and I can give stories. And I think now people are so visual, they need to be able to think about what it is that you're saying, and that is through experience.
Experience and marketing, you put them two together, right? So I'm just thinking, experience versus degree. You just kind of mentioned them in the same sentence.
Yeah, degree you do when you're 18, 19,
Yep.
20, 21.
Yep.
Because you can't get on board the client to gain the experience. That's why you need to eat shit for so many years, which is why you get in, you get the schlepper, you get the cadet role, you sweep the floors so that you can get the opportunity to get the experience. What's happening now is kids are trying to get to where they want to be too quick. That's the issue.
Yeah.
And they're falling off the bandwagon because they're not, getting the fruits and all the accolades.
They don't even know if they like it.
I know. And then they chop and change. This is what I think's happening. People are chopping and changing through their 20s, right? And then by their 30s, they're still beginners. By the time I was 30, I was an expert. And people need to go back to that. And I think there's a few things that are going back to a little bit old school. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain things that you just have to do. And in business, you really do need to eat shit.
Yeah.
Can I ask though? So if you're doing something, say you're in a position you love what you do. You've said it multiple times.
Yeah, but I didn't. I fucking struggled for many years.
But what if someone does, like, it's going back old school, you say, a little bit, and that's probably a positive thing. What if you stick at the one thing for 10 years or for however long, from 18 to 30? That's 12 years. And you're not enjoying it.
Guess what? I truly believe that if you're doing something for 10 years, that is a skill, right? At least you'll financially be in a good spot. And then what you can do is you can pivot and make passion your paycheck then.
Gotcha.
Make passion your paycheck in your 30s because at least you've got a good base and at least you've got a skill and something to fall back on, as opposed to the chopping and changing every 2-3 years. And then you get to 30, you're broke and you're confused.
Yeah.
Because you're chasing your passion.
Mate, you can also learn passion, believe it or not. When you get good at something, you can also somehow fall in love with it. But at least if you don't, you've got that as a backstop.
For sure.
I love it. And
Me too.
I mean, it relates to us. I mean, all this, everything you're talking to us because we're further behind in that journey than you, but the eating the shit and doing it, like for us, for instance, we did 3.5 years of week in, week out for absolutely nothing. No, there's no financial return.
Who do you call when you have those flat moments? Like when you're feeling like, fuck, am I pushing shit uphill here? Who do you speak to?
Each other, probably, as number one.
Yeah.
And that's been probably something we've talked about before. We're fortunate we've had each other because
Very.
We say this openly. We live together. We've travelled together. When we travel together, we're doing it on the smell of an oily rag. So we're literally sleeping in the same fucking bed in
You haven't
England.
slept together, have you?
Not quite. In the same bed, yes.
Technically, yes. Not in the way that some of the listeners are thinking right now. But we've done that. And all hoping for this dream and then just slowly chipping away.
But at the same time, though, I listening to you, hearing you say, work hard, and then you end up finding out like, oh, you've got the skill sets and the assets, you can make money from it. We didn't just quit our jobs and start a podcast. That's not what we've done. We've worked other jobs, we've worked good sales jobs, we've worked our way up in other roles and other careers.
You're where you're at, where I was in my second year of real estate, which was I was serving coffees at Rococo. I was hustling.
I mean, we're not quite there, Marty.
We're
buying almost.
But you know what? I love
bit-
food.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
food.
yeah.
So anyway, but you need to do those things.
Yeah.
Serving coffees, waiting. Bloody, I was pulling advertising on a bike on a Tuesday. I had a Tuesday off in the office to pull advertising with this company called PsycAd. Pouring beers at venues and then doing over for inspections. Like you just have to grind through it.
So many, but it's astounding how many people, because we talk to people ask us, how do you do what you do, or what have you done, blah blah blah, but it's funny, they see us now, and we're not even where we want to be, but they see us where we're at, which we've built to, but it didn't. They think we've been around a year or two. That's not the case. You just didn't see us when we couldn't get any fucking attention.
You didn't notice us. Yeah.
You didn't get any social media attention. So for you though, I'm interested. When did it start to change for you? Were you always in luxury real estate, or was it more real estate as a kind of just as a whole initially?
I always had this this idea that I never wanted to be a local agent.
Yeah.
I loved people, I loved movement, and I just didn't want to be confined. Do you know what? Similar theories now as a business owner. Like as an agent, I didn't want to be confined to a patch. As a business owner, I don't want to be confined to a state. I now don't want to be confined to a country. So I'm always wanting to push the boundaries of where can I be and what can I do and where can I grow.
You'll be selling properties on Mars with Elon Musk. That could be next.
Hey, imagine that.
That could be next.
Imagine like
Heard it here
actually
first.
licensing the first brand out of Mars. But look, at the end of the day, I always had this book as a kid and it was called Why, right? And it used to shit my dad because whenever he'd tell me something, I'd be like, well, why is that? Why is it being done like this? Why is it, and it used to annoy him because he'd have to give me an answer. And my mum loved it. And she was always like, don't ever just take things for, the way that they are because you've been told. So I'm always asking, well, why can't it be done like this? Why can't it be done like that? And so many things within the industry when we launched, like I said, why do we have to wear suits? Why can't I sell in every location? Why can't I sell a multi-million-dollar property after I've just been selling apartments in St Kilda? Why can't we just have a black and white main photo and just make it look timeless from the moment people interact with the brand? Why can't we have an arched board? Why can't we do all this? Why can't I do videos on every single property? Why can't we just launch that on social only? So for me, it's just like, if you just continually ask the question, you'll end up getting the answer, or you'll end up forming an answer that works for you.
It's crazy, the limitations we put on ourselves, or the restriction that we put on ourselves. Who created the restriction? Who created it?
Exactly. Probably someone that's making money from it.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to that theory of dimming your light to make theirs shine brighter. It's the same theory. Someone's always there to clip the ticket. Fuck the ticket. Maybe I don't want a ticket.
What's the most expensive property you've sold?
The most expensive property I sold. Well, look, I haven't sold property for 3 years now.
Okay.
Because I've focused on running the business. But the most expensive sale was in the teens, 14-ish. Yeah.
What was that day like for you? Or did it feel just like another day? Or was it a milestone?
Oh, no. It would have been a milestone, but also would have been like a sense of relief. Almost like when you finish that last exam at uni, you think you're going to be popping the champagnes and stuff, but it's actually not like that.
Yeah.
It's this funny feeling of like, fuck. I thought I was like, where's the fucking confetti?
I actually heard someone say, it might have been, I can't remember if it was an interview. Someone said that's when you know you've made it though. When
it was.
The highs aren't high anymore, the lows aren't low. You're just middle. And that's really good and healthy apparently.
Yeah. What's crazy is probably more now that I'm in this position of running these entities is, what was once like an annual goal, we're doing double that in a month.
Yeah.
I think that's when it's like, holy shit. And that's when I do have these pinch me moments when our turnover is getting to the point where it's actually exceeding what I once thought, which is making me then realign my goals and ambitions.
So in those pinch me moments, do you celebrate them? And if so, how?
Oh, one happened a couple of weeks ago when we secured our biggest client ever, just shy of $500 million. And I cried in the office, and one of the team members took a photo, and I've got that photo. My hands are just in my in my face, and I had tears of happiness. It was 7-8 years in the making, and that was pretty cool. That was 2 weeks ago.
I think of that moment. Have you seen the movie The Pursuit of Happiness?
No.
With Will Smith?
No, I haven't
and
seen
Jaden
it.
Smith's in it as well. You would love it. But there's a moment in that movie. I think his name's Chris, and Will Smith plays this.
I know the story.
Yeah,
Incredible story.
And he's trying to get this job, and he gets the job, and it's just the best scene ever. He's in the street. I think it's New York City, and it's just packed, but it's focused on him, and he's just gotten the tick, and it's just this euphoric feeling. But everyone else around him is just living every day like normal, walking past him. And he's just, it's the biggest moment that's ever happened in his life, and his life has changed forever.
I'll show you the photo. This is one of those moments where...
Is it on social media? Because Sammy
No.
can get on.
No. Because what I will do is... I'll probably post it in 2 years.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it properly 2 years from now. And that's the thing, I bank things as well.
Yeah, cool.
I know when there's certain moments that change the course, and I'll post that photo of literally... crying my hands in a couple of years' time.
I love it.
The Tour Edge clubs have been brought in, and
well, maybe while Marty finds out, we could talk a bit about Tour Edge.
Yeah, let's do it. So, Tour Edge, the 725 series, the best series on the market at the moment. D, why are they so good?
Well, Marty said to us, we were talking off air and we're talking about golf, and he said that's something he wants to take up in his 50s, right?
Later years.
Later in life, and
I got a bit more time on my hands.
yeah, exactly, a bit
He's
more time.
pickleballing at the
A bit
moment.
more time
yeah.
on his hands. But this is why, for somebody like Marty, or of course any of the viewers or listeners, whether you're a pro on the golf course or you're just starting out for the first time, go and check out the guys in their Dandenong factory, and they'll hook you up with clubs. It's all aimed for precision and accuracy. So
And the distance.
So basically, you can get started. You get a head start. You don't have to put in the 2 or 3 hard years of learning how to hit golf balls. They can upgrade that for you. Where do we find them on Instagram, Doc?
Tour Edge AU, plenty of competitions, prizes, everything you need and want. They've got it, so go follow them.
So we do the Tour Edge show and tell segment, but I think this could actually lead in quite nicely
Maybe,
with this
yeah.
photo.
So that's when I got the news.
That's awesome.
And then
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a great photo. Wow. Who took that?
someone in the it was actually my
How
ex
good's that?
through the window. Yeah.
Special moment.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
So we asked you, Marty, as part of this segment, to bring in a show and tell item, something that's got some importance to you, and we'd love to know what that is.
Yeah, cool. So my uncle, my mum's little brother, who's actually Marty Fox. I was born Marty Pasula. I had my dad's last name till I was, 18, 19, 20. Can't remember exactly the year that I changed my name, but I changed it to my mum's name. So I went from Marty Pasula. So all the boys that I went to high school with still call me Pasula.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And then when I changed it to Fox, obviously there was a few people that weren't too happy. But my mum's brother worked with Channel 7, was, an executive, had the Porsche 911. And yeah, he was just this legend that I looked up to. Now works at White Fox. He's a buyer's advocate. And I loved his watch. And he had this epic tag watch. And from 10 to 16, I was just always, hey, can I try your watch on? Can I try your watch on, Uncle Martin? And he just said, finish school and I'll gift it to you.
Oh.
And he stuck by, and this would have been it's an expensive tag watch. If I had some, nephew annoying me about my bloody Rolex, I'd be fucking kicking him away. Anyway, I finished high school and he gifted it to me.
Wow.
And it was my first proper watch, and I'm a watch collector now, and I've always loved watches, and the fact that he gave it to me really resonated with me. And since then, I reckon I've bought 4 or 5 people Rolexes since then.
Wow.
And I love the feeling of giving someone a watch. And it started with him giving me that one. And what's cool is that it just happens to be fashion. It goes in cycles.
Yeah.
Small face watches are now back in fashion, which is pretty cool because I don't wear it often. And I wore it to come on today and obviously talk about this, which is now a family heirloom. I'll gift it to hopefully my son's kid, and I'll give it to someone of importance. I've already got Freddie his watch, which I bought when he was born, which is a Cartier Santos. But
Great
watches
name, Freddie Fox. That's a great name.
watches are close to my heart, and it was my Uncle Martin that started that love.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Thanks
Love
for
it.
bringing it in.
We appreciate that, Sammy.
I'll be taking it out with me.
Yeah. Bugger. It's a shame.
Like we said to you, Marty, we for you coming on this show, Tour Edge are going to hook you up with some nice little apparel for you. And again, you can maybe give that to a staff member if need be. We might bring over the gifts now.
I've got a lot of golfers in the
Perfect.
in the Fox's den, so I'm sure
Oh,
I'll be
well,
able to give.
there you go. Now
give
we're
it
going
away.
to start. We're going to bring out our first goodie bag for you, Marty, for coming on the show. So this is from our good friends at Mitch Dowd. And they're going to make your undie draw a whole lot more interesting.
Oh, good. I've run out of jocks. Is there jocks in here?
Perfect. Because these boxes are cool, comfy, and they stand out like dog's balls.
Love that.
So for the dos&d audience, check them out.
Is there a
Mitch
little
Dowd.
window for my sack?
You're about to have a look. So for the dos&d listeners and viewers, mitchdowd.com.au, user code dos&d40 to get 40% off. Mitch Dowd, have some fun in your pants.
40% off. Go and check them out,
I'd
guys.
love to see what they've
How good.
given for you.
How good. Some boxes. I'll sleep in them.
There's some
Beautiful.
boxes
Because
for you.
I do sleep naked, and Charlotte always comments that my side's always a little bit dirtier.
Oh, right. Okay.
And what are these?
What are they?
These little tidy trunks.
Well, you know what they do? These guys are so good. They actually research the guests and they pick them out for you.
That's a pair of undies, I reckon.
Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
they're
Shit, they feel
beautiful.
good.
Yeah, they're nice and comfy.
Mitch Dowd.
Mitch Dowd. Been around since 87.
Really?
Yeah, local.
Since 1987?
Yep.
The
And
year that I was born.
There you go.
So they're 37 years
You
young.
know Russell Athletic?
Yeah.
Yeah, they own
What's
them.
these guys?
They own them.
There you go.
Another pair of boxes.
Some boxes.
Hey, this is actually a really, really good bag.
Awesome.
This is
we
decent.
said we'll hook you
Yeah,
up.
no, you've really hooked me up here. But
No, Mitch Dowd hooked you up.
yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
is-
Hey,
It's
Mitch
a shame it's
Dowd.
not Christmas time. That looks perfect at Christmas.
I know.
There
I
you
know.
go. You got some jocks and
Hey,
stuff.
Hey, these actually feel unbelievable. Oh,
Doesn't-
they're bamboo.
Oh, can't go wrong with
I knew that
bamboo.
they felt a little
Tell you what,
different.
how good's the little display there?
There
The
you
boxes.
go.
It
No,
looks
it's a
great.
very good display.
They've really hooked you
Um,
up.
These are great. These keep everything nice and tight.
Yeah. Tight and compact.
How many
yeah,
pairs
that's
have they
good.
given you, too?
No.
Are you sure we haven't mixed two with one?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well,
thank
our
you.
next one is our friends at
What,
Milkman.
am I getting more shit?
Oh, there's getting way more.
So our good friends at Milkman,
Talk about
Milkman and
hole
Co.
in one. Killing it.
All things male grooming Milkman.
The Milkman.
Now we all love the Milkman.
Oh, we love the Milkman.
All
Don't let the milkman near your missus.
all things male grooming.
Oh.
All things male grooming, Marty. So
Hey, with all my
is it-
travel, this will get
Yeah,
used.
little travel.
Hey, how funny
travel
would it be
bag?
if like you took the piss and went to the airport and that was your shit?
You know,
that would
like,
just sit above beautifully,
No,
wouldn't it?
I want to check it in. It's fucking not over 7 kilos, bitch.
I reckon. Is there a bit of body wash in there?
Yeah, what's in there?
Let's have a look.
Oh, he's got the natural deodorant, I think. Is that the natural deodorant? He's going to open it up.
Well,
could be cologne, it could be deodorant. They like to.
They mix it up.
They mix
actually,
it up,
Milkman.
right?
Unless I can leave my rubbish here.
And Dos, while Marty's doing that, the website.
The website milkmanaustralia.com, and for 20% off of all their products, use the code dos&d at checkout. So that's
really
20% off dos&d at checkout.
Very manly smell that.
And then the body wash.
There you
Oh,
go.
pina colada.
Oh,
Yeah.
I actually love
feel
pina
that
coladas.
pina coladas.
Every time you order a pina colada, you always get like a funny look. Like, dude, relax.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't had a pina colada in years.
Make the pina. I had one.
There's
think that's-
nothing
I
in
think
there,
that's just
mate.
a bit of rubbish, Marty.
That's
That's
just a bit of filler.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
so
mate.
that's good. So
Makes it
So you
feel
got-
bigger.
And then finally, Marty, we'll bring over the dos&d goodie bag, which is this is the really exciting
real
part.
deal.
This is the
Is this
tote
exciting?
bag. The tote bag firstly, and inside
Oh,
there, you don't have to go through everything, mate. But our great friends at Fleet Plan Hire
you.
Solutions and Tour Edge have hooked you up with some. Yeah, there you go. There's a nice hat for you. There's some.
Yeah, that's a good logo.
It's a beautiful logo.
what's this?
Tour Edge. So the Tour Edge, the clubs that were behind you. There's
What's
some,
that?
That's a golf tower.
What, to dry your fucking clubs?
It is. Yep.
Dry your hands, dry your clubs.
Love that.
And then inside there, mate, there should be some balls, some tees,
Oh, a
some
glove.
gloves. Yeah, some goodies in there for you, mate. So you can have a look at them later on. But the tote bag is what we love the most. So you can go shopping at your local market or the South Melbourne market when you return
take it
there.
across
Take
there.
your tote bag and rep dos&d and
Few
we'll be
balls.
wrapped, mate. Yeah, there you go, mate. So
Nice little pouch to hold them.
toothpick, that's it.
It's not bad.
But mate, we just wanted to. We obviously want to thank all our friends and partners for hooking Marty up. We can't do this show without them. But for you, Marty, thank you so much, mate, for giving us some time. You're a busy, busy man. We really appreciate it. We personally, I know the audience would too, but us personally would have gotten so much out of the last 45 minutes or so. So I want to say a huge thank you, and you're a huge inspiration to us. So we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, and just keep pushing. And when you feel like things are getting flat and they're not progressing, just realise that you're just one more pod, or you're one more phone call, or you're one more seminar, or you're one more conversation from your life changing.
We might ring Uncle Marty.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. We've
Yeah,
got his
you want
number
to?
now. We'll ring him. Yeah.
Call Uncle Marty.
Oh, Uncle Marty. Yeah, true.
Thank you, mate.
No worries.